the other night on YouTube, funny enough, and I was discussing sort of evangelism, the message that we get, the message which we've been given, and we've all received this, and as soon as I start talking about it, I go, yeah, I can see where you're coming from here. One of the big things that certainly as a child growing up, you're probably all relate to, is when we went to church, and we came home to church, and we were probably none the wiser. You know, we came back and sort of saying, what was all that about? I know I've certainly been at church, even as an adult, and come out, and probably somewhere irreverently when ridiculed whoever was preaching, because I had no clue what they were talking about. I know one incident where the guy was banging on about Switzerland, the next thing he was talking about some dog in Africa. And I have no way of linking the two, and nobody actually came out of that church any the wiser. Basically all we've done was spend a bit of time, wasting our time, and actually just go through the motions, if you like. So what I ended up watching was two chaps. There's one of them, I can't remember his name, you might well see him on YouTube. He'd go up with the old camera sort of stuck on the shoulder, and he'd start asking people questions. And they're basic questions about creation, they're basic questions about their understanding of where they are, where they're not, all that sort of stuff. I think he's sort of Australian or American, he's got one of those funny accents, I can't remember his name, you might remember more detail than me. I'll have to look him up. But it could be, I can't remember his name. But the message that I got out was him and another chap just delivering this thing, and this is what I want to share with you today. Is this business of wrong evangelism. The wrong message that has been preached. And when I was watching it, I was like, yeah, this is making a lot of sense. The fact that it was something that had a personal touch to me as well made it obviously something that I was going to go a little bit more hungrily for. How many people have been told in the past, when you come to the Lord, that's it, everything's taken care of, your life's going to be happy? What a load of colours. What an absolute load of colours, alright? All your problems will be gone. No, they won't. Alright, we all know this. You're still going to get bills, you're still going to have noisy kids who are getting under your feet, you're still going to have people next door who are fighting whenever you're trying to get to sleep. These problems are not going to go, but yet you've been fed this nonsense where you've come to Jesus, accept Jesus into your life, and your life will be happy. And the reality is that, no, it won't. And people go, how can you say that? Because Jesus brings so much joy. But we've heard before, there is a huge difference between happiness and joy. Happiness is a response to a stimulus, joy is a state of being. And in some respects, joy is also a decision. Okay? The analogy that they used, which is one that appealed to me, okay, understand, blessed are you when they revile and persecute you. The big word in there that I missed for years was when. When they revile and persecute you. Now that flies in the face of what we've discussed insofar as how you come to Jesus and everything will be grand. But Jesus himself tells you, no, they won't. It won't necessarily all be grand. They are going to persecute, they are going to revile you. Now, if we accept that that's coming, and those of you that have done a bit of fighting in the past will know when you see the punch coming, you can ride the punch. Yeah, you don't see it coming, you don't. That's what happens to so many people. The problem comes and hits them completely out of the blue because they weren't mentally ready for it. They weren't thinking about the possibility of getting a thump. Okay? So when they're going to persecute and revile you, they're going to do it. You are going to feel attacked, you are going to feel persecuted, you are going to feel the dig of something else coming into you to try and knock you off course. And this is where this false evangelism of everything's going to be happy with Jesus comes in. And this is one of the reasons why so many people will fall away. Gary's been talking this last few weeks about the great falling away. And again, the reason why people fall away is because they're not ready to roll with the punch. That's all down to your mental approach, and that's what I'm trying to sort of feed today. A little bit of food for thought, okay? The analogy they used was a parachute, okay? This is why I stopped with me as a skydiving instructor. Like, oh, I'll have a bit of this, okay? Two people on a plane. The first person on the plane is told, right, here you go. Wear this parachute. It's going to make your flight so much happier, okay? So they put the parachute on, expecting their flight to be happy. Well, what happens? The weight of the parachute, they're not exactly light things to put on. They are as heavy as a rucksack, okay? They're about 15, 16 kilos, some of them. So you're sitting on a plane with this 15, 16 kilos on your shoulder, and then you can't sit in the seat properly, you can't get your seatbelt up, so you're out of position, your posture's not right, you're starting to feel pain, you're starting to feel a bit of discomfort, and then all the other passengers start going, check out easier now, thinking that parachute's going to make their flight any happier. In those circumstances, what do you do yourself? You take it off. Now that parachute is you being saved. You taking the parachute off is what we call backsliding. But you see how easily it could happen if your perceptions of why you've got it on are wrong. Whereas passenger number 2 gets exactly the same parachute. Put this on, it will make your journey safer. So they put the same parachute on. Are they going to experience the same weight? Are they going to experience the same discomfort? Are they going to experience the same lack of posture, the lack of ability to sit in their seat? But with that mindset of this is here to keep me safe, are they going to realise the weight? Are they going to realise the discomfort? Are they just simply going to accept it and say, I don't care, this is keeping me safe? When this plane eventually crashes, or if this plane's about to crash and the whole thing's going to come to an end and I can get out and I've got this salvation to save me, their mindset straight away is different. Now compare those two evangelisms, where we tell people that come to Christ, your life's going to be happy, and it doesn't. The problems still exist. The problems still, in fact, if anything, they're going to get worse, because you're going to be attacked to knock you off course. Compared to with your own mindset that sort of says, hold on a second, I accept that it's going to be a bit uncomfortable. I accept that after a while, that 16 kilos is going to feel an awful lot heavier than 16 kilos. But you know what? I'm keeping it on, because I know it's going to save my life. What have we been taught in the past? What have you told other people in your genuine attempt to bring them to the Lord? And we wonder why so many people, including our kids, fall away. Have we given them, have we as parents, have we as Christians given them a false impression, a false expectation of what God is going to do with them? In both cases, those two passengers, we presented them with something that would fulfill some sort of a need, some sort of a yearning. Okay? Well, the two words which are important here were the words we've talked about, happy and joy. What does happiness fulfill? What does joy fulfill? Happiness fulfills your flesh. It makes you feel cozy. It makes you feel comfortable. It makes your flesh happy. What does joy fulfill? Joy fulfills your spirit. Okay? We've all met somebody who is ridiculously happy all the time. And we think, what are they so happy about? They just stub their toe in the fireplace. It's because in them, their inner being, that inner engine is driven with joy. Joy of the spirit. We've also met people who are just miserable all the time. It wouldn't matter what nice gift you give them, they're always miserable. There's your parachute 1, parachute 2. How are you dealing with this as far as your parachute is concerned? Christ himself in the Garden of Gethsemane recognized something, and although this was relative to the fact that the apostles fell asleep on him, again, there's a lesson in this script alone, purely for what it is. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. If we're spending our lives, or if we've been misled to spending our lives trying to fulfill the happiness thing, parachute 1, it's going to fail, because the flesh is weak. We're trying to satisfy that happy, let's make the flesh happy thing. If we strive and we try and concentrate and focus ourselves on that spiritual need, that joy, that inner peace of sort of saying, I know there's discomfort, I know this is looking ridiculous, I know I'm getting ridiculed by other passengers, but when this thing kicks off, I've got the means to save myself. We're focusing on the spirit. The spirit is willing, it's not just your spirit, his spirit is willing to step in and bolster you up in the times of difficulty, which we've seen in Matthew, the times whenever they're going to revile and persecute you. They are going to do it. But you've got that parachute. One of the things that I certainly have been guilty of in the past, and it's something I'm still trying to sort of work with and deal with and improve on, is this inanimate waiting for God. Now, what do I mean by that? So many people in their spiritual lives, and I'm speaking about myself here, I'm not just pointing the finger at people in general or people in the room, I'm talking about overall human beings have this weakness within themselves when it comes to their development in Christ, when it comes to their improvement of their spiritual life. Alright? We're all a little bit That puppet lying on the bench won't do anything unless the puppet master comes along and physically picks it up, and then all of a sudden it becomes alive. How many of us approach our spiritual lives with the same inanimate attitude? Jesus, come along and do it for me, and I'll be the willing, I'll do what you want to do. Puppet. There's no real life in a puppet. There's no personal choice in a puppet. And yet so many times we run our lives like that, and it comes back down to the topic of expectations. Alright? It goes back down to your thing about expectations. We expect God to come along, pick us up and go, come on, over to here. And sometimes God isn't going to do that. There's times obviously God will. There's enough stories about it in Scripture that tell us that. Okay? One of the things, for example, that millennials get accused of, in many respects, is they want the view from the top of the mountain, but they don't want to have the difficulty of walking the mountain. And whilst that may well be true of millennials, we're all spiritual millennials in that respect, because we all are that spiritual puppet. Alright? Without the decision to sort of say, you know what, no, I'm going to stand up, I'm going to make this call. We all want the benefits, we all want, but we don't want to put in the hard graft. You see where I'm going with that? We all have that sort of same weakness in us. Okay? We're not puppets. Okay? Hebrews 12:1 makes it very, very clear. Let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is before us. In other words, whilst we can't earn our way to heaven, and I'm not suggesting for 1 second we can, that in itself is no excuse for just sitting down like a puppet and saying, well, in that case, I'll do nothing unless God makes me do it. God still expects us to get up and make the effort in His will, through His Spirit, and for His glory. In other words, run that race. Run the race. Let us lay aside every weight, okay? Every distraction. Let us lay them aside. That's a choice. How many times have you chosen to still be grumpy with somebody because of something they did 2 hours beforehand? That's a choice. We don't like to say it to admit it, but it's a choice to hold on to that grudge. That's a distraction. And we all do it. Okay? Let us lay aside every weight and the sin. The choice to try and fulfill flesh and be happy. Because that's in itself a distraction away from our true source of God. Which so easily ensnares us. That's what that snare is. It ties us down. It wraps itself around our feet. It's like quicksand getting in the way. Okay? And let us run with endurance. In other words, focus. At that point in time, when we have to focus on God, we've got to put everything else aside. If I use the parachute analogy again, people say to me, well, what are you thinking about when you parachute? And the answer is everything else is irrelevant except the parachute. Because at that point in time, the tax bill doesn't matter. If I leave in a plane, the tax bill doesn't matter. The new tires in the car doesn't matter. Alright? The fact that there's wall in the house needs re-wallpaper, it doesn't matter. At that point in time, the only thing that I am focused upon is what I'm doing now with regards to my parachute. If we're using that parachute as your salvation, what I'm saying to you is whenever problems are coming on you, whenever you need the time to focus, are you focused? Are you running that race with focus? When it's time to sort of, somebody asks you a question about why do you believe such and such, 9 times out of 10, I think we're probably all guilty thinking, how am I going to say this? Was it all like stupid? Flesh. Where was our focus? On ourselves. Where should our focus be? And we're all guilty of this. And this isn't a condemnation. This is one of those things where I'm sort of saying, recognize within yourself that this is where one of your weaknesses lies. Alright? And if you've never done any physical training, if you've got a sore arm or a weak arm, you concentrate on working that weak arm. You don't just ignore it and leave it and sort of say, well, the rest of my body looks great, and you have this wee thin scrawny arm. You work on the weakness. So I'm just highlighting, if there's a weakness there, take it and work on it. Okay? It's a command. Run that race with endurance. Make a point of being focused on what you're trying to do, which is to be ultimately as strong as you can be for the glory of God. Run in such a way that you may obtain it. Okay? In other words, you will only be able to run at the speed you can run at. You can't be expected and aren't expected to run at the same speed as somebody else. Run the speed that you can run at, but run it with the conviction in your heart that says, no matter what happens, I'm getting to the end of this race. I will get the medal at the end of this race for finishing this race. I'm not running this because I want to look good beside the person beside me. They're irrelevant. You are running as an individual. Collectively then, yes, you've got this whole big park full of people all running, but you are running as an individual. And sometimes we forget that. And it's Romans 14:12, each one will give an account of himself. Not each group. We're all standing out and say, well, we're all the Christians in Ireland good. No, you don't stand on your own. So you're going to stand on your own because you're working on your own. Collectively then, when we come together, now we've got a noise. But you've got to remember that you yourself, you've got to strive for that personal relationship with God by yourself. Okay, so run your race in such a way that you may obtain it. The run is something that you have to do. This goes back to what I was saying earlier on about this puppet attitude. If we live our lives and live our spiritual lives in this puppet attitude of, well, I'll wait till God does it, are we, that you, are you physically running? Are you making the effort to move along that course? Or are you simply saying, well, we're going and push? 2 commands. The next thing, guys, is a declaration. This is Paul. So on his way back to Jerusalem, he basically knows when he gets back to Jerusalem, the Sanhedrin and all the powers that be are going to try and give him a kicking. Either physically, emotionally, spiritually, they're waiting for him. He knows he's stepping in part of the lion's den. He doesn't care. Why? Because his focus is not on his flesh, it's not on happiness. Lord, I count my life dear to myself so that I may finish my race with joy. So when I read this, it was one of the words that actually struck out to me, was this word here. With joy. Because if I'm finishing the race with joy, that means I've already brought it with me. It's already been there while I've been in the middle of that race, while I've been having to run, while I've been sweating buckets, trying to stay on course. Joy has been with me, and then it reinforces what I said earlier on about parachute number 2. Yes, there's going to be difficulty. Yes, I'm going to have hard graft, but I'm running with joy already there. My focus is already here, it's in place, and I know why I'm doing it, I know who I'm doing it for. My life is not dear to myself. Whatever happens, happens. I remember when, I think I've said this before, when my little sister was first diagnosed with cancer, she was obviously very upset, understandably very upset, and I said to her, there's no point in you feeling sorry for yourself about the fact you've got cancer, because we're all going to go at some point. Just in your case, somebody's going to switch the light on in the room and you're going to have to step through that door. So accepting the fact we're all going to go is a big important thing, because when you accept the fact that your life as you physically know it as a human being, this fleshly life, this will end. Okay? Once you realise that, it kind of puts it into where the value really lies. Well, what about the race? What about the prize that's at the end of this race? Because this race will finish. Accepting it's going to finish, and all of a sudden the finish line stops being so scary. Okay? Lord, I count myself, or my life dear to myself, so that I may finish my race with joy. I am going to finish my race. These are Paul's words. They're also mine. I hope they can be yours as well. Finish your race with joy. Alright, that means before the race has even possibly started, or in his case halfway through, or even towards the end, he's made the decision to pick up and say, right, I'll carry the uncomfortable weight. I'll put on the uncomfortable parachute. I'll sit there and endure the ridicule. I don't care. Because I've got the security, I've got the contentment of knowing that this parachute is providing my salvation. How can I have anything other than joy? That first passenger experienced discomfort, experienced a bit of ridicule, because their motivation for having that salvation on, whilst the salvation itself was perfectly good, perfectly useful, and perfect in every way, their motivation for having it, whether it was their personal choice or whether it was fed to them by an appropriate evangelism, their choice to have it on wasn't solid. That's why they gave up. That's why they took that salvation off and put it away. Psalm 29:25. Fear of man brings a snare. I'm going to make a bit of a bold statement and say that probably 90% of the barriers which we are inflicted with are down to our fear of other people's opinions, are down to our fear of man. That's where that snare comes in. That's where those spiritual bullets go around your feet and suddenly stop you and trip you up, is our fear of other people's opinions. I want to speak about Christ, but how can I say it in such a way as I won't get in trouble? I want to speak about Christ, but how can I say it in such a way as that person won't be offended whenever they realise that something I've said highlights something in their life that they won't feel happy about. We're always conscious of the fact. Now that doesn't mean that we should just go out and brutally deliver the word of God in an uncaring and unloving way, because of course that's completely contrary to what Christ would want us to do. But our concern, the motivation of our heart is what I'm coming back to here, guys. It's what is that engine driving us forward? Are we driving ourselves forward with, let's see if I can say this in a nice way, or am I driving this forward saying, let's see if I can get this message across in a loving way, but without compromise? Peter himself was released from the expectations of man. If we accept the expectations of man, then we're actually ensnaring ourselves. We're ensnaring ourselves. It all comes back down to personal responsibility in some respects. Okay? If we choose, and it is a choice, do we choose to look after and worry about the expectations of men? Or do we recognise that whilst the expectations of men is always going to be something that plays in the back of our minds, we still have the choice to say, yes, it's there. I'm not going to be controlled by it. That's a choice. Do I choose to keep that parachute on, even though it's a bit uncomfortable, knowing that it's my salvation and it will ultimately save my life? Or do we sort of say, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, you guys are right, I'll take it off so that I can sit with you guys and we'll all be equally comfortable but equally doomed at the end of the journey? It's still considered a choice, guys. Okay. Bottom line of it is, are you going to compare or declare? Are you going to compare your life to the life of everyone else around you? What they've got, what you don't have? By comparing, you're living up, demanding and promoting the expectations of men. Or are you going to declare the expectations of God? The reality is that your life will end. How it ends, where it ends, when it ends, you've no control over that. But what you do have is the control over what happens afterwards. Do you hold on to your parachute? Do you put up with that discomfort of ridicule? Do you put up with the discomfort of having that extra weight and say, yeah, okay, it's uncomfortable, but you know what? It's worth it. Parachute isn't particularly comfortable, but it will save your life. From that, take joy.